You're listening to Female Founders with Claire Bartlett, the podcast that tells you what it is really like to be a female founder in today's world. We share invaluable insights through personal journeys and real-life business experiences, highlighting the highs and the lows so you can move forward in your business with ease. I am passionate to share with you the realities of business and give you the strategies and simple steps you need to truly succeed with your business. Today's episode is brought to you by Xero Accounting Software, a champion of female entrepreneurs and a proud sponsor of the Female Founders podcast. Managing your business finances can feel overwhelming, but Xero simplifies it all and gives you the power to keep your books in order and your mind on growth. Xero have offered an amazing 50% discount off your first 3 months with them to all our listeners. So if you'd like to take advantage of this amazing deal, then follow the link in the show notes today. But for now, let's jump into this week's episode. Welcome to Female Founders. I'm Claire Bartlett, and in today's episode, we're thrilled to introduce a truly inspirational figure in the world of literature and personal development, Shelley Wilson. She's deeply passionate about empowering women to tell their stories and achieve their goals through the written word. So join us as Shelley Wilson shares her journey from a holistic health business owner to a celebrated author and mentor. Shelley, welcome to Female Founders.
My goodness, thank you, Claire. How on earth do you follow an intro like that?
Well, it's all fact. It's all you.
I'm thinking, what have I ever done before?
It's funny though, because we were just saying before we pressed record that actually you just keep doing the do and you sometimes forget how much you've already achieved and what you've already,
100%.
the journey you've already been on.
Like around the new year, you kind of have those moments, I really should reflect, shouldn't I, and see how far I've come. But you need to do that a little bit more often, I think. And yeah, it's as you think back to where you started and why you started as well, because often your why shifts, doesn't it, as you evolve over time. I know mine certainly has. But yeah, interesting. But yeah, it's very always strange hearing somebody else say it.
Well, I hope you did you justice.
I did.
Good. So do you want to take us back then? So I mentioned that you started out, your first business was actually holistic health. So how did that come about? How did you start that business and how did you end up where you are today?
Yeah, sure. So, blimey, that must be about 16 years ago now when I first ventured into solopreneurship. But I'd got out of an abusive marriage, as you know, with my 3 kids who were 2, 3 and 5 at the time. And I was employed. I was working in hotels, loved hospitality, any excuse to chat to people, you know what I'm like. And I thought, I need to do something with my life. Everything had been forgotten in that period as I was married. And I thought, I'm going to go to night school. I had no idea what I was going to do. I could have done floristry. I didn't care. I just needed to do something. And my kids went to my mum and dad's, they babysat, and I just went to the local college. I was like, right, what can I learn? What can I do? And I found an Indian head massage course. And I was like, that sounds rather nice, learn something and have a massage while you're at it. And it opened the floodgates for me. And I think I've always had a bit of woo-woo about me. Always have. I've loved crystals since I was 8. I had my first tarot set when I was 13. It's always been in there. But I guess I had this freedom to explore it more. And I just, I went on, I passed that. I went and did reflexology, Reiki, EFT, massage, you name it. I trained in it.
Wow.
And I started my own business from all my training and a lot of self.
But that's a big show point for you and how you handle things, because that must have been a very, very hard time in your life, and your children were so young as well. That must have been a really big thing for you, to do, and a brave thing for you to do. And a lot of people would have sort of, I guess, hold up and struggled to get through that. But you didn't. You looked at that and, okay, well, what am I going to do now to support my family and improve
100%.
myself and find myself again?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There were a lot of dark periods, and I think I went down to a size 8, and at 5'11", that is not pretty. I look like a walking skeleton. I lost so much weight, and I couldn't eat because cooking made me feel sick, but I had to because my kids were young. They needed feeding, so there were a lot of dark moments. but I am I'm a silver lining person. I've always been like that. I try always to find the positives in things. And, your kids are the ones that are watching everything you do. We've talked about this with our own kids all the time, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I didn't want them to see Mom crying and broken and all the rest of it. I wanted them to have that childhood. And, thankfully they look back now and go, we had a great childhood. And obviously I've got fabulous support of my own family as well and friends. But yeah, I think when I look back on those moments, it was almost like it happened to somebody else. It's ever so strange. It's like, right, push it aside, just crack on and get on with it.
When you're in those darkest moments, I think you quite often sort of remove yourself from them. And it's almost like a robot is going through the motions of the day to day and what you have to get through. And I think a lot of people, through the COVID period as well, everyone says all the time, like, how do you cope, or how do you get through these things? But you just do in the moment. You have to, don't you? And it's only afterwards that you can reflect and be like, oh my God, I don't know how I did that, but you do.
Yeah, I think recently somebody asked me about kids' clubs, I think we were talking about. And I remember my three, they were at taekwondo twice a week, they were at swimming, they were at cheerleading, they were doing this, that and the other. And I remember sitting there thinking, how did I do that? Because there has only ever been me. I've been on my own with them for 20 years. And I know, like, Mum and Dad have done all sorts of helping me, but the majority of running them to clubs was on me.
The logistics of it all.
Like, how did I do that? I honestly can't remember.
Super mum.
Yeah, bizarre, absolutely bizarre when I think back. But yeah, I mean, they're amazing kids. They're all like in their 20s now and tower over me. But yeah, they're good kids.
Which is not easy to do.
No.
At 5'11".
No, yeah, that's so true.
Amazing. So obviously that is very different though to what you're doing now. So how did that transition happen, and why did that transition happen?
So, you know how much I am a word nerd. We've spoken about this quite often. And books have always been a part of my life. And I think I started writing when I was probably about 8 years old. And in my head, if you'd have asked me at school, what do you want to be when you grow up? Author. I want to be an author. I want to write books.
So you've always had that?
Always been, very deep within always. But of course, back then it was all to be an author, you had to be published by a big five. Self-publishing wasn't a thing, it was how am I ever going to do that? And so it was always that dream in the back of my head. And then my holistic business doing brilliantly, had a waiting list of clients, absolutely loved it. And then I was bitten by something, spider, bug, we don't know what. It started to shut down my body. So I'd go to do a reflexology session, for example, and my hand wouldn't work. And I hate letting people down. So it was where I was having to rearrange appointments, and I just got worse and worse. I mean, the one thing with it was my clients watched me deteriorate. So it wasn't like, they were like, Shelley, you look really awful actually today. Said with love and affection, but oh my God, you look like you've been dug up. And kind of like, okay, I'm not making this up. Other people are noticing. And it just got so bad. It got to the stage where I was like, I can't do this anymore. And so that hobby that I'd had of writing, it suddenly overnight almost had to become my main source of income. And at that time, I'd self-published a few books. So I started jumping into networks as an author, going along with my little book and going, oh, this is me and I've done this. And a lot of people started to go, I've always wanted to write a book. Oh, where did you start? How did you start? And I guess
sounds familiar. We've had that conversation.
Not that I've had this conversation with you a million times. But
yeah, it will happen one day.
yeah, I'll keep hounding. But yeah, I guess my writing mentor business kind of accidentally grew from all of those people saying, how do you start? Where do you begin? And I had the answers to that. So yeah, that hobby became my actual main job. And I was sad, I must admit, very sad to leave the self-help side, but it was necessary. There was no way I could have gone on.
Have you ever thought about going back to that? Have you ever wanted to go back to that? Or do you feel like that was a season of your life that you loved, but something happened, that made you realise that chapter is closed and you've moved on?
I think at the start, I cried probably for a week when I made the decision I was going to close. That I really was upset because a lot of, you'll get this with your clients, they become almost like family, don't they? Especially when you've seen them for 7 years and they've been coming with their issues and you've been helping them. So there was that period of like sadness. Then there was the next stroppy teen period where I was like, oh my God, I've put all this self-work in and I've done all this training and it's all gone. And, stroppy bit. A lot of my clients were telling me, don't you think you're being nudged down the right route? Because they knew how much I loved writing. I used to write them newsletters and blog posts and all sorts. So they knew where my passions were. But
so
it was
they
kind
could
of,
see it even before you could.
Yeah, they were the ones going, there's a little bit of a
thing. Might be the universe here.
Yeah. And I guess, I wouldn't go back now. I think back then I could have done because I loved it so much.
Yeah. It was raw then, though.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And when I think about it now, I've got so many friends who are in that, that they do Reiki and they do all what I do and used to do. And they're amazing at it. And I'm like, I go now for treatments and it's nice to be on the other side and just lie there and let them do what they like.
Oh, it's fabulous. I love Reiki.
Yeah, exactly. So I get something different from it now, but I can't. No, I wouldn't go back. It has definitely moved on, and I've changed completely. And I can't imagine not doing what I'm doing now. Which is interesting because back then, obviously, I thought that was what I'd be doing for the rest of the time.
That was the thing, yeah. But you spoke about your clients becoming friends and almost family members, but also your business is family to you. Like me, my business is my baby.
Yeah.
And if I had to say goodbye to it, I presume you went, you did grieve it. You went through the grieving period, losing that business. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand that, how attached, if you don't have your own business or you're just at the start of the journey, like, this is a warning, you will become one. You get really attached to that business, don't you?
You do.
And the highs and lows of the business become your personal highs and lows, don't they?
Yeah, it's all intertwined. And I think, like, I work from home as well, so my spa excuse me, was my converted garage, so even that was at home. Now obviously I've got a desk, so it's a little bit different, but again, it's all part of the one. Yes, I can shut the door of a night time and work's work and home's home, but it was, I mean, when I think back to that business, so I was obviously on my own, my kids were still quite young, and I'd put them to bed at bedtime and then I'd work, I'd have clients in the night because what else was I was just going to stare at the telly over and over, and I just wasn't prepared to do that. So that it was almost like my social life as well, how I got to see it.
Because you couldn't go out, so bring people to you,
Yeah, bring them to me. And then I started to do a lot of workshops around what I trained in. So I trained in crystal therapy and healing and meditation. So I started to bring in workshops and like meditation groups, although the ladies started to call it nap and natter because they'd come, chat and fall asleep. It was, not quite how I wanted them to be meditating. They got some of that.
But they got some rest from it. They felt better after, I suppose.
Oh, it was great. But I think that part of it, that reaching a wider audience than the one-to-one, I think that's helped me with what I'm doing now because I can do workshops and that, and it just feels normal and natural for me now.
Yeah. Well, as you said earlier, you do like a natter, don't you? You like to chat. You're very easy to talk to and you're so sort of warm and approachable. So we met originally through networking, didn't we? So we were at the same events. I don't even know how many years ago now, maybe 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah, it's got to be.
A long time ago. And that again can be quite a nerve. And you are the type of just warm energy that you're going to be welcoming and you're going to have a relaxed conversation with you. And I think that's just what everybody needs. So how did you move in? So you said that you had already published some books by the point that you started the networking. So how did you go about publishing that first book? Because as you said in the beginning, publishing was you needed to get in front of one of the big publishing houses. Nobody even knew the term self-publishing, it wasn't even a thing. So how did you target that and how did you go against the grain and say, well, no, I want to get this book out into the world and I'm going to achieve that?
It's funny. So knowing that to get published, it was, these big publishers. When I did my first book, which was How I Changed My Life in a Year, I never even thought about submitting it to a publisher. By then, self-publishing was a thing. And I was like, well, that's what I want to do. I can get it out in like a week. Oh my gosh, that's what I want to do. And the book itself was obviously I wrote it while I was still doing my holistics. So it was a blog to book challenge. I had to put my teeth in to say that. And it was me doing 52 New Year's resolutions aimed at my holistic clients to show them if you put your mind to it, you can achieve anything. Look at me, I've got a business, I've got 3 young children, but I'm still doing this, still pushing myself in lots of different ways and sort of testing myself. And so it was purely for them. And I was blogging every single week to show them what I was doing and all the highs, the lows, this week I failed, but it doesn't matter because look what I've learned. So there was a lot of that going on in the blog. And then all of a sudden people were messaging me going, this is brilliant. I'm going to set myself a challenge and I'm loving your story. And they weren't my mum. They were people the other side of the world. And I was like, hang on a minute, what people are actually reading what I'm doing? This is just a bit bizarre. And at the end of that year, a journalist friend said, you have written a book. You already work in the mind, body, spirit sector. You've got a ready audience who've been following you throughout the year. 12 months, 12 chapters, just tweak it and get it out there. And it was just, those light bulb moments. I was like, wow, I've written a book. What are you on about? That's a bit bizarre. And I found my my editor who's been with me since 20, and we did a little bit of rewrites to make it more book than blog and put it all together. Found someone who could help me format it and design the cover for me. Uploaded it and it literally changed my life. Literally, I know that's what it says on the book cover, but that book absolutely changed my life totally. And
I've read that book, and it is saying that it's fantastic, and it is inspirational because where you are at that point in your life when you're writing it, it gives you so much food for thought and pushes the reader to challenge themselves as well, which I love. But what I find really interesting is that you had wanted to be an author since you were 8. You'd always had that dream, but your first book actually was written almost by accident. You didn't even realise that you'd done it, which is brilliant, isn't it? And again, potentially the universe is helping you out here. Like, come on, Shelley, get with the programme.
Really, we have nudged you down so many to do something. But I think it's the stories we tell ourselves, isn't it? So as a kid, I would absolutely read everything that was ever written, but it was all fiction. Never thought about non-fiction ever. So the story I was telling myself, I'm going to write a book one day, I was thinking novel. So the non-fiction side just never even registered for me until Douglas said, by the way, you've written a book. Oh, right.
I'll better do something with that then. And that was a bestseller then, wasn't it?
It
really took off.
It got to number 1 in self-help and women's biographies.
Amazing.
It was the one that Penguin Random House messaged me about because they'd seen it bouncing around the top 10 for 4 years. And even now, 10 years ago, I published this in 2014. So 10 years later, it's still my biggest seller, and I still get the most comments from people, just Facebook messaging, emails, DMs, whatever, just going, I've just read your book. This is what it's helped me do and achieve. And that honestly,
must be so heartwarming and make everything worthwhile.
Absolutely incredible. There was it only happened the end of last year actually. I was tagged in on something online on my Facebook page, and I went along and I was reading this long post about we've done this and we've done that, and I was like, I don't know why they've tagged me in. And then at the very end it said, just to give you some context, we started this community group after reading Shelley Wilson's How I Changed My Life in a Year. And I was like, what? Oh no. So I clicked on the cafe that say hello, and they were in Philadelphia in America. And I was like, what?
No way.
The other side of the world. And I ended up Zooming with them and saying,
did you?
No, it's me. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And that was like, what? This is just incredible. So
this is what I try and tell people all the time, because you didn't actually go into that really with much expectation. You weren't looking for a bestseller at that point. No. You were just, I want to help this audience I already have. Yeah. And it's my personal experience I'm just sharing with others. And yet that's been your biggest success across the whole 10 years. And that's the one that's changing people all over the world, their lives as well. Yeah. That's such an amazing achievement.
I mean, I know you talk about this with your group and everything, and I do it with my writing clients, like that authenticity thing, that vulnerability, that just be you, and everything else will fall into place. And I think with that book especially, you got me, the warts and all. It was right, actually I haven't done it this month, or I've failed at this one, but I've had a go at it. And I think a lot of people really do resonate when you are honest and vulnerable. The one thing it's taught me more than anything, definitely.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that I keep repeating, and I know I say it so much, is that people buy from people.
Yeah.
People connect with the person behind the brand and the business. And that's what you did. You showed yourself so authentically in that book, and you got everybody to, awareness of who you were. They've then come into your space, and it's all because you showed your true colors, and you were just truthful and honest throughout the whole thing. And that's what I think people shy away from, and they think nowadays you have to perceive this Instagram lifestyle or this level of perfection that is not real. Nobody can be perfect 100% of the time. You, in that 12 months, there were chapters that you didn't complete, or
Exactly.
you stumbled upon, and that's reality. That is
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
everybody goes through. So, but it's so refreshing to actually read that, because
Yeah.
so many people wouldn't have put that in. They would
No.
have pretended.
And I think we need more of that, don't we? Especially like online, more so, like, because you say so many of my clients will say, I can't write this book because it's been said before, it's been done before. And I'm like, yeah, it has, but not by you. You are just unique. And so many people miss that bit. And that's the magic.
You are your own USP, your unique selling point.
Yeah.
So we've got now to where your first book is out there and it's changing the world. And as you're saying, that was 10 years ago. And then you've done some meditation books, haven't you? And you've done a few in that self-help section, but you've also done then your children's, teenage fiction, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is how my brain works. I go from meditation to werewolves. This is literally how I am. I did the children's meditation book, and I did the one for tweens and teens, which was a bit later. And a lot of them, I suppose that's me almost tapping into what I used to do, the whole self-help, personal
Connecting
development.
the two,
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't think I'll ever publish another self-help book because I'm no longer in that world. And there are so many amazing people who can write those books, and I'm working with a lot of them.
You're going to make a lot of people sad by saying that, Shelley.
No, I can help them.
Never say never. Never say never.
Very true, very true. I think the next non-fiction book will be a camper van book, so that'll be quite a different genre.
The stories of Snoopy.
Exactly. But the fiction side, it's kind of going back to that's exactly what I wanted to write. That 8-year-old me wanted to, I followed Enid Blyton up that magic faraway tree and wanted to have all those adventures. So I'm getting to have that now. And when I first walked away from that horrific marriage, reading just wasn't part of my life anymore because I was so busy, I was so whatever.
Yeah.
And so the first book I read after, when I suddenly found I had time to read again, was a young adult book.
Right.
And it was like, hang on a minute, are you telling me that I can be a teenager again? And I can just read all about these coming of age stories and this, how you turn from being this shy little child into this, badass warrior type thing. And I'm like, I need that in my life. And and it really helped me. I mean, the great thing about young adult is nothing is really taboo, because teenagers want to absorb everything. They want to learn it, they want to know it. And I really enjoy that about it. So all of my protagonists are young teenage girls who are a little bit lacking in confidence and that kind of thing, exactly as I was as a teenage girl. But by the end of it, they are running the show. And it's always that.
So they're all female leads.
All female leads, yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, and then I've got Vikings, I've got vampires, I've got werewolves, I've got fairies, dragons, you name it, and I absolutely love it. Really do love it.
So you really get to use your sort of imagination, creativity in them.
Yeah.
And like you say, there's no real boundaries, so it doesn't have to be, I suppose, realistic in those books. That's actually exactly the opposite of what you want.
Yeah. The Viking novel, I did a lot of research on because I wanted that to be as historically accurate with dates and what have you. But the rest of it is totally made up. But the fantasy, the fiction side, you can, apart from settings. So I've got a vampire duology, book 2 comes out this May, and it's set in Whitby. So I went to Whitby. I did a lot of research.
I've seen,
all of the setting and that is correct. But the story's all made up. But with fiction for me, and I think I've spoken to you about this before, how I know I'm 52 this year, but refuse to admit I'm an adult. So this is like me going, no, I'm going to escape into the world of vampires and Vikings and werewolves,
I love that.
because I don't like being an adult.
Yeah. Nobody likes being an adult, do they?
No, I am done with adulting.
Yeah. But it's so liberating for you. And like you say, it can be an escape from the day to day, can't it? You just lose yourself in this world that you've created.
Exactly. Yeah. And I had one of the books that I was writing was how I motivated myself to succeed. And I ended up throwing 30,000 words of that in the bin because I was going through a really dark time. So my anxiety was quite high. My depression was really bad. And I was like, I can't write about motivation when I feel like this. So I spoke to my editor and I said, no, it's going in the bin. But what I did, I went and wrote my werewolf novel. And it was just flipping it to make believe, to running through the wall, with wolves through a forest and doing what I had to do. And it poured out of me because it was make believe, it was fiction, it was an escape. And then, however many months later, all of a sudden I could sit down and write the motivation book because I'd come back round and out of it.
So do you think writing the werewolf book actually helped heal you out of that time? It was like sort of therapy for you.
Yeah. And I think reading is for people, isn't it? That when you've had a really rough
escapism.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter what your genre is. I know my mum absolutely adores romance novels, so she'll throw herself into a good,
I love
romance.
I do.
Well, I know you do as well.
Especially on a sun lounger. There's nothing better.
Exactly. So that's your escape, going to a beautiful little town and normally by the sea and things like that. Whereas me, I'm off, chopping heads off. That's what makes me happy.
Each to their own, Shelley, each to their own. So you were speaking then, though, about dark days and, and this again is a bit of a taboo subject that we don't talk about enough, but we all have them, and anxiety. And I think, especially in business, there can be so much self-doubt. It's really hard to believe in yourself constantly throughout the journey. So I want to ask you, if there was one pivotal moment in your life, whether it was, a moment in time or a person, one pivotal thing that you feel changed the whole trajectory of your life and has brought you to where you are today, could you pinpoint that? And I know that's a big question.
It is a big question, yeah. And I think everything I've spoken about, kind of the marriage breakdown, the spider bite, they were probably the biggest things. But what they did, and they're huge, absolutely huge, and they changed me in lots of different ways. But we're going back to that thing where we just get on with it. And I was just getting on with it. So I don't think it was a really big thing eventually. I think it ended up that I was just playing small, and I stayed small, and I had continued to stay small, probably because of what I'd gone through back then. So there was a lot of my ex-husband's voice in my head, a lot of that, don't be so ridiculous, you're nothing, you can't do that, you're all bar. Lots of other people in my life that have thrown those comments at me as well, that they bubble up whenever you're in those moments where, I'm going to try this, I'm going to learn this new skill, or I'm going to have a workshop out there, and then 20 voices are in your head going, don't be so ridiculous, you can't do that. And I think I listened to them for way too long. And I am the first person to tell anybody, oh, no, you don't want to be listening to them. This is what you can do. You can achieve anything you set your mind to. Great to say it out to other people. But when you say it to yourself, it's very, very difficult, isn't it?
So I think, how did you finally silence those voices?
I don't think I ever have. I think they'll always be a part of me. But I don't allow them to be the loudest voice in my head anymore.
Yeah.
And I think networking helped, because suddenly I found a team of people who had my back, who I could turn to if I needed to. I've got some of my best friends now, really, I've met through network. A business coach, signing on with someone who actually would, kick me up the bum when I needed it and talk me off the ledge when I needed it. You have done that for me on multiple occasions. So it's having those people that you can turn to.
Having your cheerleaders. Yeah. It's funny that you mention networking, actually, because that was quite transformative for me. So when we met, I think the first time we met was I had started running some networking events. And this, like I said, was probably maybe 8 or 9 years ago. And I was so shy at that point. And that first event, I will never forget it. It's burnt in my memory because I was terrified. I was literally leg shaking, sweaty palms, when you're out of breath because you're that nervous. I was a real mess, but I got through it. And the confidence that I've grown from stepping out of my comfort zone so far and doing those, but also then the community that I found from those events. And, you know, and I ran them for, I don't know, maybe a year, 18 months, I think it was. And then I had to step down because it worked that well and I was that busy. I didn't have time to do the networking anymore. But those relationships, you and me and lots of other people, those relationships remain. And I think it can be a really isolating thing being in business. And especially if none of your friends or family have businesses, they can try, and some of them will try really hard, but they will never understand it. And you do need other people who go through the same highs and lows, because it's
absolutely,
bloody hard.
You saying that about being all sweaty and scared on that for me, as someone coming in and meeting you, you were so calm and collected. So where
everyone always says that to me. I do not know how I pulled that off.
Came across as if I was like, oh my god, she's so together.
Still not, Shelley, still not. No, yeah. And this is the thing that I say a lot of the time. I've been in many situations where I've been that nervous because I do constantly make an effort to push myself out of my comfort zone. But what I have learned through the years is that people don't see that. It is all internal stress. And that makes you feel a bit better about it, that you're not looking like a shivering wreck. You look okay. It's just all internal angst that you're going through. But yeah, so that's building the community and having those cheerleaders is a huge thing, isn't it? And that's really helped you through it.
I've continued networking, and I often try and find new networks and, you know, and sort of explore as many as I can, both online and offline, because obviously with lockdown, everyone went online.
Yeah, changed everything.
There's such a change for everyone now. But and there's often an overlap, as we know, but it's just one of the main things that kind of keeps me sane, I think.
But also, if you work from home, it gets you out the house and it gets you socializing. So I appreciate that. So as you've grown through the time now, obviously you've 18 books now, which is a huge number of books.
What I'm working on, actually.
Is it? Oh my gosh. My information's backdated. 21. That is amazing. But obviously you've had to go through a whole journey to get there. So you found, and you did sign with a publisher, didn't you, at one point in the journey?
2017, I signed with an American publisher, BHC Press, who are just brilliant. I love working with them.
And you're still with them?
Yeah, still with them. So the good thing is with those publishers especially is I'm not signed into them, so I can still self-publish if I want to. I can sign with another publisher as well. It's just kind of how it works sometimes. So even though I was with them, I self-published my last meditation book, my writing planner. So I kind of did that as a side hustle almost, if you like that. But working along with them. But it's really interesting working on your own as a self-published author and then with a publisher, because there's so many similarities and a lot of differences, but that's really helped me to help my clients.
So you understand both sides now. So so we've spoke a lot about the books and the things that you've done individually, but we haven't spoke much yet about your coaching and your mentoring on the writing side. So like you said, you've been through those processes yourself, and now you want to help other women. And through those networking events and conversations, you've realized that actually we've all sort of got a book inside us, and everybody really has that goal to let that book out into the world, but we just all have a lot of hesitations around it. So
a lot of fears, a lot of anxiety, always the same question. I've got an idea, I don't know where to start. And I get that because like we were joking earlier, I accidentally wrote a book, but I had a plan, didn't I? I knew I was blogging for a whole year, so that was my plan. So I wrote it without realizing that that's what I actually needed to do. One of the challenges within that year was a November writing challenge, which I think I've spoken to you about a few times. I know, National Novel Writing Month.
I remember you doing it. You've just done it last November, didn't you?
And so I've done it 9 years now.
Wow.
And you have to write 50,000 words in 30 days. So I've done it 9 times. I've actually hit the 50,000 7 times, and
that's a lot for just people who haven't written a book. That's a lot. That's a lot of words.
A few words. I think it's 1,000 a day you have to write to actually hit that deadline. So it is full on. It is full on, but it's one of the best ways of sitting your bum in a chair to write, because you know you've got a deadline. And this is what I talk about with my clients. You've got to have that deadline. You've got to know it doesn't have to be in 30 days. It can be in like 6 months or whatever that might be. But because I did that first program, I was like, well, hang on a minute, how do other people write these so fast, this first draft? And then I learned about outlining, I learned about plotting, I learned about character development. So I really unpicked it all for myself so that I could achieve that goal. And then when people come to me now and say, I don't know where to start, I'm like, I've got you. I know exactly what you need to do. And that's the bit I adore more than anything. When someone says, here's my idea, what now? I'm like, right, let's get a big piece of paper and just map this out. And
one day this will happen for us. I've been writing, what you're saying about the deadline, I've been writing my book for, we've probably spoken in, I don't know, 5 years or something. And every so often, I've got it on my laptop, and every so often I'll open it up again and I'll do some more, and then I close it again. And I've never had a deadline on it. So so maybe that's what I need to, maybe next November, I'll sign up for that challenge.
Yeah. The challenge is great. First draft. This isn't a nicely polished manuscript. This is like 30 days of jumping it out of your head.
But are those books you've then published? They've turned into, so it's not just like blurb on a page. It is the beginnings of your book.
And that is what you need. You need to get the idea. You need to tell yourself the story, basically. Because at the moment, it's characters running around in your head, or themes and ideas that aren't quite connected. So, we store a lot in our brains, don't we? And just getting that down in some sort of a summary on a page can be a massive step in the right direction.
And for anyone who's interested in that challenge, does it get sort of marked, or do you have to enter it or anything like that? Or is it just for you?
No,
just
totally
to challenge yourself to?
Yeah, it's the website is literally NaNoWriMo. So it's the NO. NoWrimo, NaNoWriMo, and then MO on the end, .org. Oh my God, abbreviation. But it's totally free. You just sign up. You can have like a profile page. You add what you're going to be doing. It can be private. It can be public. I always put mine public because I like to use it as like to show my clients that I'm doing it. And then every day you upload your word counts. That's all. No one's looking at it. No one's reading your stuff. You're just uploading your word count. And then a little graph will go up as you climb towards that 50,000. And then you get little badges, like virtual badges along the way. So when I'm such a geek, but you get your 5,000 word, and then your 10,000.
I love all things like that.
It's fabulous.
But obviously, so we're talking about that challenge, which sounds great and is a great way to force you to get the number count and the words out. But you need to know, like you've said, where to start. And without that baseline and that initial stuff, which you can help with, and you have lots of different ways that you can help people, don't you? So you've got all that information of how to just start the plotting of the book, but you also have sessions as you're working through the book. It's not just the beginning, it's the whole thing that you can help with, isn't it?
Yeah. And I this is like what I've been working with my coach and that, to find ways to help people. So I do 1-to-1, which is 6-month program. And that's where majority of people, they need that 1-to-1. They need that proper bum kick, and they need to be accountable. Right, I've got to hand it in. I'm seeing her every couple of weeks, and she's going to ask me for what I've written. So some people really need that. I've got a 8-week group program, so we're just coming to the end of that one now. So a lot of them are still on their outlining, they're still mapping it out, but then they've got the roots of it all to crack on. The one bit that I realized that was missing was that accountability. So I can get them going, but I can't write it for them. And that was the bit that was missing. So I'm launching a membership where it's just £25 a month, and you just come in, and I'm there to offer that account. Right, have you written it? Have you done that? What have you? What is it?
The kick up the butt that everyone needs.
The bum, absolutely, every month. But I know, and I think that's what Nano does for me. When I do the November challenges, I know, right, every day I've got to upload that so I can see myself.
And because you're keeping it public, other people can see it as well. So there's that accountability that you need to keep you on track for it.
Yeah. The first thing I say to my clients is go out and tell somebody that you're writing a book. And I try and get them to do it on their social media. Some people are like, absolutely not.
Really public.
Tell my friend, but that's it. A lot of them will. They'll go out and go, right, actually, I am. And it's brilliant, because the feedback they get is, oh my God, I'm so glad you're writing this. This is going to be brilliant. Keep me posted.
Oh, wow.
And that's building your cheerleaders as you're writing your book. And I love that.
And the audience ready for the launch.
Exactly. Yeah. I've got core fans which follow me, when I go to events or when I do things, and it's just
Oh,
like, it's just me, I'm, grey hair, back fat, single mom, and I just think, and yet
you're
people are interested in
fabulous.
what I'm doing.
No, 100% they are. And can you help people with any type of book? So whether it's fiction or non-fiction, do you have a
Yeah, I
specific
predominantly
area that
work
you prefer to help?
non-fiction, but I do have
Okay.
fiction authors. So yeah, I think because I've written both, I can help with both.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm, absolutely willing to. But I think just because of the networking I do, and my own platforms, I tend to attract people that are doing non-fiction books. But
Okay.
I do have a few fiction authors.
Isn't that interesting though? Because you're saying that that's not what you're going to focus on moving forward, but actually that's still where you are offering the most support
Yeah,
and value to your
yeah, yeah.
clients.
And I think with fiction, I know you want to write fiction as well. It's the flow of the story, isn't it? So it's kind of
Mhm.
it's linear. You start at the beginning, you get through your middle, and you get to your end. I think with non-fiction, especially when it's around a business book, people stumble over their own ideas. They're like, I don't know how much to add in, what's too much, what's too little, and that's the bit that a lot of people need guidance and support
Mm.
on. That it's okay not to tell them everything you've ever learned in,
Yeah.
7,000 pages. Hold some back for them.
Yeah. But I also think I completely agree with that. If you've got too much information to sort of wind it down. But I also think I get asked a lot, I help people with their sort of marketing and their social media and their voice. And they say, oh, but I don't want to give too much away because otherwise I won't have anything to sort of sell to the client and to
Yeah,
help them with. And I just think that it's so wrong because the teachings are very different. When you read a book, that's brilliant and that's the starting point of what you need, but it's not really giving you like the how or the accountability or any of those elements.
yeah,
And that's where they can still come to you. So I find this a really interesting topic and one that nobody seems to really know. There's no sort of magic point that's
no,
how much you
there
should give
isn't.
and don't give anything more. It's completely different, isn't it?
I always say to my writing clients, dangle your carrot, dangle the
Yeah,
carrot for them. But once they're in it and they've read your book, you want them to get to the end and go, that was amazing, right? Can I book her?
I
Can I
need
book her one
more.
to one?
Yeah,
Has she got, this and that? How can I work with this person because I need more? Yeah.
yeah.
So always dangle that carrot and then entice them into your world.
Love that.
Yeah.
So, we've talked a lot about different challenges that you faced, but is there one particular failure that you have gone through? Just one, the one that you've learnt the most from?
Oh my goodness. I don't really I think just not believing in myself. I know it's not a failure, but it kind of is well, I suppose it is because it's something that has stopped me from
It's held you
growing,
back.
from believing, it's massively held me back.
Mhm.
I think the failures are so my business. I suppose there's things I could have done with my holistic business, maybe from a financial point of view. I could have sold my client list, maybe, but that just never was on the
Yeah,
radar. Something I never even thought was a possibility. I see people selling on their businesses now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, could I have done that? I don't
missed a trick. Yeah,
yeah, there's all
maybe.
sorts of those kind of things that I never know. But I think no, I think failures is for me is just it's all self-induced stuff. It's all actually, you don't think you're good enough. You don't think you know enough. You don't think, I remember having this conversation a long time ago about starting doing my mentoring. And
Mm.
it was the lovely Karen Heap that you know. I said, "Why would people want to learn to write a book from me? What do I know?" And she's like, "You've written 16 books, Shelley.
Think you
You
know
know."
everything.
And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And but before that, it had just never registered because
Mm.
that self-belief just wasn't there. And I hear about it so much from not just writers, but anyone in the networks, and you must get it as well. So, so it's not a failure, but it is in a way, I'm failing myself by not fully
Yeah.
appreciating my own skill set.
So it's that imposter syndrome
Yeah,
really controlled you for a long time.
massively. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I know that you say you haven't completely conquered it, but you've just been able to turn the volume down of that negativity in your mind. But how have you managed to do that? Because that's still an achievement and moving forward. So I presume a lot of sort of self-worth and self-work looking internally.
I think
And
the self-work bit is vital, massively. But I think actually investing in myself, not just personally, but professionally as well. So I'm working with an amazing coach, Dawn, and that was an investment. But what she gives me and what she helps me achieve is something I never thought possible. You know, she's getting me to step into my own power, which,
light, power.
and I
Love
remember
that.
my Reiki master teacher all those years ago told me off. She's like, Shelley, you give your power away too easily. And that stuck with me because it was exactly right. I'd given it away to my husband. I'd given it away to a couple of friends who have, like, you know, really kind of done the dirty. And I'm like, actually, yeah, she's right. And I've got to stop doing that. So, Dawn's helping me step into that and recognise when I'm doing that, which is a big thing.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. And just quickly on the topic of mentors and business coaches, this is, again, quite an interesting topic because lots of people say that their success is down to them and having that accountability or that somebody is pushing them out their comfort zone. But it's a big decision and usually with a high cost involved.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that I think people are challenged with is they look at that initial cost, but they don't look at what value and what money that could bring them.
Exactly.
And it's having that broader awareness of what it's going to bring to you and your business,
Yeah.
but also personal development can be huge from them. So
yeah, and I think now you taught me this, but paying out, yes, it was an investment, but I've made it back in a couple of months. I've made it back because she's made me step up to the mark and do this and that and the other. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that's what properly investing in yourself means. You do get this back and then some.
Yeah. But so what was the moment that made you, after all of these years in business and different businesses, to decide now to invest in a business mentor?
I think my kids, randomly, even though they are all now grown up, you know, they're all in the 20s, I think they're always watching you, aren't they? And seeing what you're doing. And I suppose I've been putting off being an adult, even though I know I am. But and it was all of a sudden thinking, I want to help support them as they're getting into their lives and starting to move out and get their careers sorted and that. I want to be in a position to help them. And that was a kind of like it's always been them, always been the kids. I think most business owners say that, don't they? They're my why, but for very different reasons. Before it was like, so I could go to the sports days, so I could do this, so I could be there for them. And that was my why at the very beginning. Now it's like, I want to take my daughter to America and do amazing trips. I want to help my son buy his first house. I want to, you know, my other son, I want to help him do this and that and the other. So it's as they're growing, my why is growing, but it's all still to do with them.
Still there, and that's the thing. Like we all go into business, like you say, with a reason and a why. And mine was exactly the same as yours: flexibility around my family. But as your family grow, and you grow, you age, and your wants and needs from life are different as well. So it is flexible, and I think people say all the time, you know, don't go back to your why. What's your why? Like, don't forget it, but it will change. And if you try and keep it the same reason that you started, you know, I've been in business 10 years. You were, 16 years, did you say? We're in very different places in our lives now. So yeah, no, I think that's really important. So one last question, because we've been talking, we could talk for hours more, couldn't we, Shelley? But one more question for you is, what is the one book that you remember blowing your mind when you were a child and putting you on this path?
Oh my goodness. Well, I've got just the one.
You can have 2 or 3.
I think there's been a few. Okay, it has to be The Magic Faraway Tree with Enid Blyton. That was what started. I literally did climb up that tree with Moonface and never came back down again.
Never came down.
It was right. Fantasy fiction was the way to go. That was a massive one for me. And then I think Shiver by Maggie Saifater was that one that I read when I first got divorced, that I read and I thought, I love this. This is fabulous. I love this genre, and that kind of hooked me into that as well. I love that. Yeah.
So they've helped you as well. They're the pivotal moments as well, aren't they? Reading those books have put you on this path. Amazing. So Shelley, if anybody has been listening to this and wants to find you afterwards or wants to come and work with you, how can they do that?
So my business is Shelley Wilson Writing Mentor, does what it says on the tin. So if you Google that, will find me. And I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. I've got an author platform as well on Facebook. And yeah, if you Google me, I will pop up, much to my kids' delight whenever they've done.
Amazing. Shelley, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure having you on Female Founders, and good luck with your 21st book launch then. When is it being released?
So this one I'm just editing at the moment, but I've got book 20s coming out in May 21st, that'll be out. But yeah, the other one I'm still working on.
Well, it's not long though till May.
I know.
So good luck with it all.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Claire.